The price of waking up. The last thing I remembered before the world went black was the blinding glare of oncoming headlights and the horrific screech of tearing metal. Then, nothing. For 14 months, my life was reduced to the steady, rhythmic beep of a heart monitor in a sterile room. I was there, trapped behind my own eyes, completely unaware that while I was fighting to wake up, my parents were calculating the cost of my survival. When I finally opened my eyes, the room was blindingly bright and completely empty. There were no flowers, no get-well cards, and no anxious parents holding my hand. There was only Drive, Evans, looking at me with a mixture of profound shock and deep pity. He checked my vitals, his hands shaking slightly, before delivering the news. I had been in a coma for over a year. Where are my parents? I rasped, my throat feeling like sandpaper. Doctor, Evans sighed, looking down at a clipboard. They haven't been here in 3 months, Leo. In fact, they left something for you in the hospital safe. They instructed us to give it to you the moment you woke up, if you ever did. 10 minutes later, a nurse handed me a small, sealed manila envelope. With trembling hands, I tore it open. Inside was a single piece of heavy white paper, written in my mother's elegant, cold handwriting. It read, "Greater than Leo, greater than if you were reading this, it means you survived. Good for you, but you need to understand something. A hospital room costs thousands of dollars a week. Keeping a body alive on machines is an expensive investment with zero guaranteed return. We paid for the first 11 months out of parental obligation, but we have our own retirement and future to think about. We stopped paying, we cut our losses, signed the liability waivers, and moved out of the country. Do not look for us. The medical debt is in your name now. Consider this your final lesson in self-reliance. Asterisk. Greater than, Mom and Dad. Asterisk. Greater than. I stared at the paper until the words blurred. They hadn't just abandoned me, they had calculated the exact moment my life became a bad financial investment and walked away. They had left me to die, assuming the hospital would pull the plug the moment the checks stopped rolling in. The only reason I was alive was because the hospital's charity board had stepped in to cover the baseline costs for a final 3-month grace period. The sorrow inside me instantly burned away, replaced by a cold, blinding rage. I wasn't going to die, and I wasn't going to let them ruin me. The recovery was brutal. I had to relearn how to walk, how to hold a fork, and how to live in a world where I was entirely alone. But fury is a powerful motivator. Within 6 months, I was discharged. I took a low-level job at a logistics firm, working 16 hours a day. I slept on a mattress on the floor of a tiny, cramped studio apartment, living on instant noodles and water. But I had a secret weapon. Before the accident, I had developed a proprietary algorithmic code for supply chain automation, a project my parents knew nothing about. Sitting in my tiny apartment at night, I finalized the software. Within 2 years, a major tech conglomerate bought my algorithm for $7 million. Suddenly, the boy they left for dead was a multi-millionaire. I paid off my remaining hospital bills in full, bought a stunning penthouse overlooking the city, and began building an empire. I never changed my name. I wanted them to see me. I wanted them to know exactly what they threw away. It took exactly 4 years from the day I woke up for the bait to work. I was sitting in my executive office when my secretary buzzed through. "Sir, there is a couple downstairs. A Mr. and Mrs. Vance. They don't have an appointment, but they claim to be your parents." A dark, cold smile spread across my face. "Send them up," I said. When the elevator doors opened, they walked in. They looked older, a bit more weathered, and their clothes, while neat, looked cheap. They looked around my luxurious office with wide, greedy eyes. My mother immediately forced tears into her eyes and rushed forward. "Oh, Leo, our beautiful boy, we knew you would make it," she cried, reaching out to hug me. I stood up and calmly stepped back, avoiding her touch entirely. "Step back," I said, my voice deadpan and icy. "You are trespassing in a private corporate office." My father's face hardened slightly, the old authoritative tone creeping into his voice. "Leo, don't be like that. We saw you on the financial news. We are your parents. You have to understand, that note, it was tough love. We were deeply in debt. We had to make a strategic decision to save the family from bankruptcy. We knew you were strong. We knew you would fight harder if you thought you were on your own." "Is that right?" I asked, leaning against my mahogany desk. So leaving me to have my life support disconnected was just a motivational strategy. We knew the hospital wouldn't just let you die, Leo. It was a calculated risk, my mother pleaded, trying to grab my arm. And look at you now. You're rich. We are a family again. We can finally live the life we all deserve. We found a beautiful estate just outside the city, and we brought the paperwork. We just need you to co-sign the mortgage and provide the down payment. It's the least you can do after we raised you. She actually pulled a real estate brochure and a contract out of her purse, laying it on my desk with a hopeful, expectant smile. They truly felt no guilt. They looked at me and only saw a bank account they could exploit. I picked up the brochure, looked at the multi-million-dollar mansion, and then looked them both dead in the eyes. Slowly, deliberately, I ripped the papers in half, and threw them into the trash can. I learned my lesson perfectly, Mom. Dad, I said, using their names like a curse. You taught me that life is about calculating losses and cutting bad investments. You taught me self-reliance. Right now, looking at the two of you, I see a terrible investment. My father's face turned bright red. You ungrateful brat. We gave you life. You owe us. You stopped paying, I replied, my voice echoing off the glass walls. Remember, those were your exact words. You signed the liability waivers on my life. Legally and emotionally, you are nothing to me. You are ghosts. I pressed the button on my intercom. Security, come to the top floor. I have 2 intruders who need to be forcefully removed from the building. If they ever step foot on this property again, have them arrested. My mother began to scream and cry, cursing my name, while my father threatened to sue me as 2 large security guards grabbed them by the arms and dragged them toward the elevator. As the elevator doors began to close, cutting off their shouting, I looked at them one last time. They had left me in the dark to save their money. Now, they could spend the rest of their lives watching me shine from the shadows, completely broke, and completely forgotten.